like to welcome everybody to the People's Church of Divine Prophecy here today. I'd ask you to silence your cell phones unless you're law enforcement or medical personnel. I'd like to have Latricia light the 3 candles symbolizing the unity of body, mind, and spirit to start the service. I'd like to ask you to stand for the invocation or remain standing for the first step. Please take an attitude of prayer. Dear Father God, we give thanks for this moment here with those of like mind. May we feel your peace and harmony in our hearts individually, and may we feel the peace and harmony of everyone in the room and feel ourselves multiplied to be more than the sum total of those in the room. And we feel your love, hope, and harmony throughout the day and week. Amen. Amen. The next portion of the service is a reading by the pastor where I try to put something I've encountered in my past week into a spiritual perspective or philosophy that I try to embrace in my life. I was sitting out on the back patio today and I was looking out across the field. I live out in the country and everybody around me's got animals and horses and there's cleared fields and it's just a beautiful view out my back door. And I was sitting there thinking, just feeling nature and just enjoying it. And then it dawned on me that, you know, as a spiritualist, I believe in co-development where you observe things and draw conclusions from them, guided by your own mind and by the higher mind of spirit. And I realized that nature itself is quite a tumultuous thing. Things are always eating something or being eaten, or there's always a lot of strife when you really look at it in a microcosm of things. So I asked myself, why do I feel so at peace knowing this and looking at nature as a whole? And the answer that came back to me was because it's God's plan unhindered, unfolding without interference, unfolding in the harmony of how God plans it to be. And that's what I see when I feel nature and I feel things around it. I don't see the microcosm of the individual struggles and strife of all the individual animals and creatures within it. I see the broad plan of God over all of creation. And that told me I should be able to see God's plan in my life in the same fashion. See it unfolding with harmony, see it unfolding without interference, and have a peace with it regardless of where it takes me. Have a peace with it even when there's struggle and strife in my life. Take a moment to ask, where is God's peace in this? Because like I said, you look at nature out there and you see all of that struggle and strife, but you know that there's harmony in the overall plan. So this is what was brought to me this morning, was try to see God's plan when we find ourselves in struggle and strife, because God's plan for everybody as a whole is peace, harmony, and upliftment. We just get caught in that microcosm of our own individual struggles at times and overwhelmed by it. And that's okay, we're human. We're part of the animal kingdom. That's going to be our nature. But as human beings, we have the ability to reason and know that God is there. Animals react to God just strictly because that's the way they're inspired to act. And I guess as I get ready to close this portion, there was something else that happened to me this morning. I got ready to come to church and I saw wrinkles in my pants. And I got momentarily frustrated because I was running late. But then I remembered the reason I had wrinkles in my pants. Because I had to get on the floor and play with my 11-week-old puppy. I had to. Couldn't get out of the house without it. So with all of these things that you think about within trying to reason God's plan, with all of the do's and don'ts that we put in our minds for this plan, don't forget to play with the puppies, guys. And find joy with it. Thank you. The next portion of the service is the healing portion. The way this service works is that the healers work with people that come and sit at the chairs, and then the rest of us share a guided meditation. During the meditation, you're going to hear this, which means a chair has become vacant and you can go over there so you can enjoy both parts of the service. We'll start the service by reading the prayer for spiritual healing. I ask the great unseen healing force to remove all obstructions from my mind and body and to restore me to perfect health. I ask this in all sincerity and honesty, and I will do my part. I ask this great unseen healing force to help both present and absent ones who are in need of help and to restore them to perfect health. I put my trust in the love and power of God. We have 2 chairs open now. If people would like to go over there and take a seat. The rest of us just find a comfortable way to sit and begin to relax your mind and body just normally, just feeling the natural relaxation of intention. And as you begin to feel that natural relaxation, we begin to put our attention on our breath. As we begin to feel that natural rhythm of breathing within our body, it causes us to have just a gentleness, just a biological gentleness. As we feel this gentling of the biological nature, we begin to feel the gentleness deeper down within us. As we quiet the outer, we begin to pay more attention to the inner. We feel that inner quiet, that inner peace that is always there. As we feel that inner peace that is always there, we gently feel that growing, moving up into our chest, creating a sense of harmony and peace, feeling it flow out of us as the breath empowers it, as it billows to a coal. We feel this breathing, fanning that spirituality within us brighter and brighter by intention. We feel this light begin to penetrate every atom of our mind and body, putting us into communion with the divine, with the sense of that which is always there, eternal peace which is always there. Gently feeling it fill all that is aware within us, all of our senses, all of our awareness, breathing rhythmically, feeling that growing sense. As we feel this peace and harmony spreading throughout all that we are aware of, we feel it touching the others in this room, growing and multiplying as our minds touch those, and we see all those in the room as spirit. We see their spiritual beings in all its glory and light, and we feel that sense of harmony and trust. And we allow ourselves to move just a little bit deeper, letting ourselves go just a little bit more now that we feel that trust. We feel the connection now from our mind to the mind of God, that connection that is always there, never broken, feeling that sense, feeling that union with direct connection to our understanding of God. We feel God's attention on us, with us, guiding us. As we feel that attention of God's mind with us and around us, we gently begin to feel ourselves as a thought in the mind of God. And as we see ourselves as a thought in the mind of God, we are reminded that only perfectly harmonious and balanced thoughts can exist in the mind of God. We see ourselves as this thought that God has about us perfect balance, perfect harmony, and true peace. As we feel that thought in the mind of God about us, we allow it to move down this connection into our own conscious mind, flowing over us, around us, and with us, vibrating and moving us, feeling that sense of perfect harmony, perfect balance, perfect health within this mind of God. We now realize that we are one with the mind of God and the thought that God has about us. Breathing that in and allowing it to be all that we feel at this moment. As we feel this total harmony within the mind of God, we realize that we are all part of the sea of life and the sea of creation, of all that is within the mind of God. We feel that connection to all that is around us and with us. We feel that sense of connection to all within the sea of life and creation. As we feel ourselves moving within this sea of life and creation, we feel all those that have come before us, all those that have sacrificed before us and given of themselves, whether known or unknown to us. We see that line of genetic connection to all those, all the way down the line of creation before us. We feel that honor for all those that have come before us with these generational blessings that have allowed us to be who we are in some fashion. We acknowledge their sacrifice, their commitment, and their devotion to who they were that allows us to be here in this moment. We feel ourselves in the now, in this sea of life and creation. We feel ourselves in our own lives in this moment of creation. As we feel ourselves in the now, we see all the opportunities around us. We feel all of the commitments and the encounters that we have within our lives. And we feel them connected to all others in the sea of creation. All others, as they too move through this plan that God has for them in this sea of creation. We feel an honor to be part of this plan. We now see those that have come before us, more recently some of those that have passed to the higher side of life, and we allow them to appear within our consciousness. We greet them with love and harmony. We greet them with a chance to renew this connection to them, even though they have passed beyond the physical existence. We say to them what we may not have had a chance to say before they passed. Seeing them as they connect to this, seeing them as they receive that message now, in the here and now. We feel a comfort with knowing that this message has been received by them. We now allow them to move on, and we'll bring someone else in the here and now of our existence, someone whom we may have difficulty with, whether it's family or an associate, work, or closer to our home environment. We bring somebody into our mind's eye who we're having difficulty with at this time. We think towards them peace and hope. We see God's connection to them and realize that God is moving them as surely as God is moving us. We acknowledge God's guidance in their life and allow them to be moved by that. We choose to honor God's guidance in their life, whether it's with us, for us, or against us. God's purpose is with them as surely as God's purpose is with us. And realizing this, we allow ourselves to disconnect from emotion or judgment to what's going on. This does not mean that we have to allow ourselves to be harmed or be taken advantage of. Only this allows us to have peace in our mind with what is going on. As we now move beyond this person, we feel a freedom from this situation. We feel ourselves being able to move to new thought with this situation and allow them to bear the decisions and consequences of their own decisions. We move now beyond this person and we begin to connect to another spirit moving to us from the distance, slowly moving towards us, and we begin to feel harmony and hope, a sense of a friend long gone in spirit, someone whom we have not seen for a while. As this energy begins to move closer to us, we begin to feel a sense of coming home with this spirit. As the spirit begins to become closer into our sense of awareness, we suddenly realize that it is ourselves in spirit. We're seeing ourselves moving towards us and beginning to blend with us now. There's no separation between the physical self and the spiritual self. As we feel this reunion of us with our spiritual self, we feel ourselves as we were at the time of creation. We feel ourselves as we were in harmony, body, mind, and spirit, allowing all separation to lead, feeling a continuous flow between all levels of existence within us. No strife, no struggle, no difference. Breathing and feeling the harmony of that self. Committing to go forward in life, allowing each level of existence to have its importance within our lives, but one not to dominate the other. All working in harmony, all reblending with our own personal spiritual power. As we feel that sense of spiritual power and self-empowerment now, we are changed from this moment forward. As we move back now with that commitment to being moved by all levels of existence within us equally, we move now gently back to a sense of who we are in the physical. We feel that sense of spiritual power finding a place to rest within us in the physical. Whether it's our third eye, our throat, or our solar plexus, we feel a sensation of where that personal spiritual power will be at upon our call when we need it. As this sense of personal spiritual power settles within us, we begin to gently re-engage our senses, not severing this connection to the infinite. Gently allowing both to exist as we come back to the physical. Our sense of our spirit, seeing with our spiritual mind and our physical senses. Gently breathing and blending both, allowing us to see with both as we come back to the physical, slowly, easily, and gently. As we begin to feel the room around us, we become aware of our breathing again, as our breathing. Again, not severing the higher-minded connection, allowing our higher-minded connection to see the world through our senses. As we gently come to the here and now, I will end this session with a reading. In silence comes God meaning to the heart. I cannot judge when it enters the heart. I can only judge by results. God's word is spoken to the secret places of my heart, and in some hour of challenge, I find that word and realize it for its value for the first time. When I need it, I find it there. Thank you all for joining us during this time. As we find ourselves back in the here and now. The next portion of the service is the inspirational lecture. Today we have Reverend Bob Johnstone here, all the way from Canada. We go to breakfast every Saturday morning, me and some other guys. I have for, I guess, 8 to 10 years now. And he tends to be the butt of the jokes a lot of the time, being from Canada. But I really have had a great time being in a relationship and friendship with Bob. We've shared a lot over the years. He always has a certain kind of wisdom with a little bit of a joke to it. Sometimes the joke's on himself, and sometimes it's on you when you talk to him. But he's always good-natured and with the best of intentions. He does the painting that you see on the front here through colors, which is, I call it, similar to the old ribbon readings that the spiritualists used to do, where you pick the different colors of ribbons, and they did a reading based on the ribbons that you put in the box in front of them. And Bob does that with colors, where he picks the colors while he's talking to you and does a drawing like this, and then interprets it back to you. So that's an interesting way to see it happen. I'm going to ask Bob to come up and share some of his hope and help with us. Please welcome Reverend Bob Johnstone.
Pasture, I'm sure you must be tired of seeing this face up here. Of course, last week I was here, and the Dr. Thomas, the wise one, and we're a bit of a, I guess, a dog and pony act. And sometimes I get pretty rough with him because he's so serious, and I try to be the clown all the time. And actually, I did go to clown school in Orlando, and I try to put it in part of my talks when I talk, because I feel we have to smile more. During my married days, I went to the Anglican Church of Canada, which is the Church of England, or the Episcopalian Church here in the United States. And of course, they take their rituals all so seriously. And we are losing people. So I was saying to my family, I said, look, if they don't bring some humor in and some laughter, they're going to lose everybody. And what's happening in the recognized churches today, because it's so serious. And we want entertainment. Each one of you are here today for entertainment. You're not here to be lectured to. You're here to learn something. But you want to feel good about it. You want to be able to lift yourself up. We have enough of that gloom and doom in the world. And, so that's where I come from. And that's why I feel that I can share what I've learned in my life and share it with people who say, gee, if he can get up there and do that, so can I. And there's not a person in that room, in this room, that hasn't had something to share. Something to share with us. I have a little bit to share with you because I spoke to somebody before and I said, how did you come here? And he said the door was open and I came in. And I thought, that's just what Steve and I talked about yesterday. Because Steve has had some conversations as to the different kinds of speakers that he allows to come in. And some of the people said, well, we don't like that. We should have different. And Steve's comment was to me and to the rest of the group was, the door is open and we want to share our wisdom. We want people to share themselves. And there's not enough of that. Too many people keep this closed because they don't want to get involved. Yes, I've opened that door too far sometimes and got into trouble. But I've also made a lot of friends when I got into trouble. And one of them was Steve, because he stood up for me many times to defend my situation where I was in trouble. And that's when you find a good friend, a good friend. Can you call upon a good friend to do that? I hope the friend's not in a bottle or in a needle or something, because a true friend is always there. And when I say the mean things to people sometimes, which I do, for like Dr. Thomas, I don't realize what I'm saying. And he'll just shrug it off because he's a good friend. He'll say, Bob feels like that sometimes. And we all have to take that attitude. And for an example, I've known that man. He's been in my place for like 3 years. I spend every day that I'm in Florida with him. He shows up at some point. And he's always the same. No matter how sick he is, he's dying, but he still has a good cheer. And those of you that know him here, you can say that have met him. And myself, I hope I'm the same way, of good cheer. But I can be rather rough and forceful at times. But it's my way of being of good cheer, and I keep that character up all the time. In clowning, when you put on the makeup, the first face is the white face, and that's the death mask. And when you die, you restore your life. So you put on the death mask, but then you put on your character. All the different colors relate to your character. We all have that mask on. Even in everyday life, we wear that mask. But I think sometimes we're afraid to put on the colors. We're afraid to really show what we want to distinguish ourselves as, because we're all unique characters, and we're all seeking different goals. I like to read about people and their private lives. I like to hear about people and their private lives. I like to hear about people's love life, how they relate to one another, how they meet. Because this is life, isn't it? Not the fairy tale stories. Life is being realistic and going through life's situation. The last book, I've been reading 3 books lately, which I very rarely read that much. One was on Princess Diana, which is now in stock at the Cassadaga bookstore. But it was on her love life, how she has never had love in her life until she divorced the prince. And I just gobbled up that book, because she's quite explicit in it. The writer is quite explicit. But I recommend that to every woman that wants to discover herself and to find out what true love is. Because the last 5 years of her life, she found it. And she was really a strong woman because of it, because of the divorce and because of the change in life. There's another lady, Diane Jackman, some of you know. She wrote a book about her life. And she married a fiddle player called Red. And he passed away, I think about 3 years after she married. But she had a very turbulent relationship with him, in and out of love, all the time. Heavy drinking and clubs and the whole bit. But she was quite explicit as to her love. She loved the man, he loved her. And they're looking for grounds that they would stop their bad habits. Unfortunately, he died before he could change his ways. But she wrote this book basically about her love and her love life and the whole bit. But what attracted me was the truth that she told about herself and her feelings for this man, and the man's feelings for her. We must do that, because that relieves us of that. To me, that's like a person that's having digestive problems and takes a laxative. Well, if you write or if you share your feelings, that's the same thing. You got to get it out there. I know our breakfast club on Saturday morning, we get it out there. If we have to say something to somebody, we generally say it. And we love one another wholeheartedly, and it's taken in that space. The next book I was on was Long Island Medium. Okay? And this woman is so explicit in this book about her life, her background, and her love for spiritual work. Just like you and I, we have a story to tell. And she, I guess she was in 30 years old before she really discovered her gift and accepted her gift and went to work. But from the age of 4, she had terrible dreams and nightmares and feelings, and nobody could help her until she found the right teacher, which I guess is about 25, 26 years old. She found the right teacher who was able to bring it out. And it's a marvelous story, because she also talks about her love life and how she handles her husband and how she handles her family. And if you watch the program on TV, you'll relate to it, as I did. She's very human, and we mediums are very human. You know, I used to think as a youngster that the guy standing up here was something special, something different. They didn't have my problems. When I had somebody give me advice, I'd say, that's okay for you to say. You know, you don't have my problems. You don't have a wife like I have. You don't have a job like I have. You don't have the bills like I have. And they'd say, well, that's your problem, baby. Get out of it. Isn't it true? Get out of it. Forget it. Because God wants you to be happy and smile and do your work. But my point here, I guess, is to read things that you can relate to, that you can relate to people's lives. Allow yourself to see them changing their clothes once in a while. Allow them to see them in their true light, that they have their ups and downs and how they overcame them. And that's my love. As a youngster, I was very interested in history and the explorers and how they lived and the difficulties they had of moving through the wilderness, why they came, why they settled. It just wasn't, I saw them there, I had to see them in between. I had to see all those spots and what was the meaning. Finally, this afternoon at 1 o'clock, we have a little group meeting downstairs on Edgar Cayce, who's probably my, I guess, the biggest influence on my life for the past 15 years. And just because of his readings and what he was able to relate to people. This man gave 14,000 different unique readings on all subjects. And they've been cross-referenced and written about. There's many books written about him. Those 14,000 different readings, there's all kinds of subjects covered. That we'll be speaking about this afternoon with some people bearing witness as to what they've learned from the readings and the years they've spent. And I've had many experiences and met many people because of it worldwide. Mr. Cayce was devastated when he lost his hospital in Virginia Beach because of the depression. And I've just learned that it also happened to the spiritual camps and the spiritualist groups. Most of the money left the spiritual community because of the depression. And it was the cause of Mr. Cayce's loss of his hospital, which was a stream. And he was devastated. But he spoke to Spirit, and Spirit said, I have something for you. Gather a group together of mediums and psychics and people who had the gift. And we'll provide a book of material that you can bring to the world. And out of that book, there's groups throughout the whole world. There's more people making contact with the ARE and the Edgar Cayce work every day than Mr. Cayce made in his whole lifetime. If you have an opportunity to be there this afternoon, you'll be more than welcome. If you don't, please look it up online or put a little time into this marvelous man who is an American, and I guess it's the America's most documented psychic. He changed my life, and I know everybody I've spoken to has good to say about Cayce. I've never heard anything negative about any of his work or material. So I thank you for hearing me. I love each one of you. It's just so pleasant to be here. Reverend Steve?